So today's question, how well prepared are you for these three things? Now, all three of these are very prevalent right now and heavily reported on in the news, but the reality is that I believe that 99.9% of the people are not prepared for them at all, and they could happen at any time. We don't ever fearmonger, but we stay informed, and we are definitely prepared for whatever this crazy, chaotic world sends our way. So the first one, obviously the one that we don't want is nuclear war. But the truth here is that we are at DEFCON 3. And we have not been at DEFCON 3 since September 11 when we were being attacked. That's the last time we were at DEFCON 3. Now, there's 9 billion people on the planet, and you have to assume that almost all of them don't even know that we're at DEFCON 3 or what DEFCON 3 means, okay? And so they're walking around aimlessly, completely unprepared. You even have our own president talking about nuclear war like it's, fucking Santa Claus coming on Christmas. It's no big deal. It's just another day. Now, of course, we expect that from them because they got caves with 30 years of supplies. They're going to be fine. They're not worried about it. It doesn't matter to them in their life. And I've been in those caves, okay? I've done missions in those caves. Gear and supplies as far as the eyes can see. Miles long, further than you can see down these tunnels, are just stacks of supplies and equipment. So they're going to be fine. But then there's the rest of us, okay? While they talk about this stuff like it's no big deal, there's the rest of us which would be severely impacted. But here's the thing about nuclear war. So again, I've studied nuclear, biological, chemical warfare in the Marine Corps. I spent plenty of time training in gas chambers, and it is a subject that I'm very familiar with, okay? The truth is as long as you're not in the epicenter, surviving a nuclear war is actually possible. Contrary to popular belief, a lot of people on Earth will survive a nuclear war scenario. But being prepared is very important to that survival. So the number one question that's there is, do you have a gas mask? Do you have a gas mask? That's the number one thing. You could prep your water and your food and all that other stuff, but when you start seeing leaders talk about nuclear war like it's not a big deal, they're spending millions and millions and millions of dollars on radiation pills. You have a very unstable world. I mean, really, in the last 2 years, we went from a peaceful world to there are conflicts arising everywhere and with nuclear countries, right? I mean, you got Iran getting hostile. You've got the war with Russia and Ukraine. You've got China and this Taiwan thing. I mean, we're just in a very unstable environment worldwide with lots of players who have nuclear capabilities. So you have to take this serious. So the number one question there is, do you have a gas mask? And if you don't have a gas mask, you need to get a gas mask, okay? Now, they range in price, obviously, but being prepared actually isn't expensive, all right? If you do it strategically, logically, and you accumulate over a period of time, it actually isn't expensive at all. It's actually more expensive not to be prepared. When you really think about it, right? What is the cost to not being prepared if an event happens? So, I mean, there's a lot of other things that we can talk about there, but my primary thing here is that every person on your prep list, the number one item that you need is a gas mask. We go through the rule of threes, right? You can go 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. Well, air is important. It doesn't matter how much food and water you have stored. If you can't breathe, you can't survive, right? So make sure you do that and visit our forum, prepareyourtribe.com. Go to the forum. Plenty of resources and people there to walk you through exactly what we do to prepare for these types of events. Now, obviously, we hope that this first one, nuclear war, never happens. But we're going to be prepared either way, okay? Number two, grid down situation. Everywhere in our world, people rely on the grid for energy usage, for connectivity, for heat. We're approaching the winter. Energy has been something, obviously, the cost is skyrocketing. The demand for the energy is only going up as the supply decreases. So this extra demand is really going to cause a crunch for people that are not able to survive without the grid. And again, that is most of the population. So I live on the East Coast, the reports already are coming out telling people on the eastern seaboard of the United States to be prepared, go without power for a significant amount of time. And they're saying this as winter's approaching. In this grid down situation, we're always told, be prepared for 3 days. Always have 3 days supply. Now, you'll always hear that from the government about being prepared just for 3 days. I'm here to tell you, this 3-day rule is nonsense. It's just nonsense. You need to be prepared for more than 3 days. 3 days, again, if I go back to my time in the military, okay? 3 days is just enough time for them to get comfy and cozy in their bunkers before they tell you you're on your own, right? That's where the 3 days comes from. The 3 days comes from, don't panic, society. Let us get comfy, and then we'll tell you you're up Schitt's Creek. So you want to be prepared for more than 3 days. At a minimum, you want to be prepared for 3 weeks. Okay, that's at a minimum. That should be the number one goal, is how could I and my family, right, because everybody else in your family or whoever your loved ones are, how would I, in a grid down situation, prepare myself to take care of myself, my family, my loved ones for 3 weeks? What does that picture look like? Last but not least here is going to be your economic situation. Again, in the last 18 months to 2 years, economically, we have just been devastated. Inflation going from just over 1% all the way up to 8%. I mean, that's an 8-fold increase. Cost of everything is just through the roof. It's not going to get any better. Now, the election did occur. And so what I believe will happen is they will stop the spending, right? That the change with the Republicans in Congress, if they stick together, will at least stop or prevent more spending, this loose spending, from happening. So while we might not see inflation go up anymore because they're not going to allow them to spend any more money, the reality is that our current situation is here to stay. Like, that's not going to improve. But then again, just yesterday, they gave $1 billion in climate reparations. So, you know, they are still spending money, but I think that that's going to slow significantly. And certainly it's not going to be in trillions and trillions of dollars being printed. As the world gets more difficult here in our country and things cost more, crime rises. I mean, that's a byproduct of it, okay? Crime will continue to rise because when people don't have resources, they're going to go steal them. If people don't have money, they're going to find ways to use crime in order to obtain the things they want. So you're going to feel that squeeze in the city or state or town that you live in, where you're going to see crime increase, okay? You know, in prosperous times, crime goes down, and in very tight times, crime goes up. When you kind of mix that in with the fact that we have really unbelievably loose laws that are continuing to be implemented to not deal with crime and to let criminals out, or cashless bails, and all of these terrible policies, it really means that the cycle of crime is just going to continue, okay? And again, the harder it gets economically, the more crime is going to be prevalent within your community. Now, the good part here is economically, like, even if you're not making more money in your job, right, which really doesn't even matter, because even if you get a 3% raise, but inflation is at 8%, you're already almost 3 years behind even catching up with the current rate, okay? But there's a lot of things that you can do to suppress debt, to take away debt, and to utilize programs in order to do that, so that you can start to take more of the money that you have now and push it towards being prepared for any type of economic collapse, okay? But you got to take those steps, and you've got to be proactive in doing it. All right, so that's it for today, my friends. I just wanted to reach out and hit these 3 things. Don't forget, Sunday night survival stream, 8 p.m. Make sure you're in the forum, prepareyourtribe.com, and I'm out.